Today we have a topic that I think is so timely and something that we can all learn from. I've personally have had to challenge myself to learn the value of this, and the more it's increased my awareness, I feel like we can pass it on to our models, we can pass it on to our kids. And now that's the same thing will be done as I pass it on to you in today's podcast. Today I'm talking about the trap of being in a hurry. Oh my goodness. Through the years of working with models and working with managing expectations, being realistic, while at the same time setting high goals, can be an interesting balancing act. And I've learned through the years, and so has Jeff, that what we don't want to have happen, and as we go on this journey, you become more concise in communicating that with somebody. I think after you've been doing something 20 years, you've learned a lot that will say to people, if you're in a hurry, we're not the company for you. That being said, it's because what we want to build is we want to build something that has longevity, and you want to build something on a solid foundation. And the trap of being in a hurry is that sometimes you can get ahead of yourself. We believe you can get ahead of God's timing. And there are sometimes that there's just divine delays. There are things that are meant to kind of slow you down. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned. Maybe you're not 100% ready for an opportunity that 6 months you will be ready for. But if you bulldoze your way through and force the issue or force the opportunity that you feel in your heart is what you're supposed to do, you really can derail something that can be really beautiful. So again, that we're not in a hurry. And, I can say that there have been periods of time we were in this momentum period for a while. We were like 10 years in and we had some ups and downs. We'd had some success, but we hadn't had just really incredible success. And when it came kind of 10 years in, it came fast and furious. And then the expectation, we kind of got ourselves in a mindset of thinking that every single time, every single new fashion season that rolled around, we had to hit it out of the park with a superstar. And what a not healthy way to look at things. We went through seasons of developing models. Grace Hartzel is a great example. We knew that she was something really special. And we knew that she was going to have a great career. And hindsight being 2020, it was so good that really it took a good 3 years to get it in momentum, to get it in that point where things were really starting to burst and bubble. And what came out of that was really good. We're super excited because this week, after 20 years in the business, we were honored to be a part of a very important, timely article in the September issue of American Vogue about the modeling industry. And again, coming back to it, not being in a hurry, not thinking I have to have my 14-year-old daughter in New York City, or my 16-year-old needs to be, I have visions of her being, in the pages of magazines and at the top of her game. Thankfully, the CFDA put their foot down a few years ago, and now Condé Nast has followed suit, and a lot of the big power players in our industry saying, let's really slow down and develop and prepare these young people so that when they're 18, they're better prepared for the opportunity at hand. And we are 100% in support of it. We were happy to have our voice as part of sharing it with the world. What an honor. And it only took 20 years to get there. And, what if we would have quit 10 years ago or 15 years ago? I mean, those are the things that we think about so often. Social media exasperates it. Social media makes people in more of a hurry. We see that with aspiring models, wanting to, at 15, put 8 million pictures on Instagram, #model, instead of having the wisdom to slow down and know that that's probably not in the best interest. And even if that's your ultimate goal, why are you in such a hurry? Why are you not able to just slow down and percolate and marinate and do what it takes to really be ready when the opportunity comes to play? Years ago, we worked with a model who, she was always 5 steps ahead of herself. She had really big goals, and it almost became an obsession, this constant what's next, instead of being able to really enjoy where she was right then. And even though, and we see this in all different walks of life, friends that we have that are super multi-talented and thinking that you have to do everything at once. You can't, you are super talented that you can be in music and you can do in this and you can do that. Instead of going, okay, even those are all my goals, I don't have to do them all at once. I don't have to be in a hurry. It doesn't have to happen immediately. What manifests when somebody is in too big of a hurry, and this will derail a career or a dream or an aspiration faster than anything else, is it causes a lot of unnecessary stress and anxiety. I've mentioned it before, we call it living in your head. Having this thing that you just know that this is what you want and you want it in your time, and even if you have to rush it and not be 100%, you're willing to do that. And I just can't stress enough that sometimes we're just meant to slow down. When you live like that too, you're rarely present in the now. And the reality is, the older you get, the more you realize that life is short and seasons of our life are shorter. Kids grow up before our eyes. We're in elementary school and all of a sudden we're graduating high school. It blows our mind that we've been together. Tomorrow is our wedding anniversary, 19 years. We've been together as a couple for 21 years. And where did the time go? And I can say that there was times that we were so overwhelmed with things that we weren't living in the moment and we were in a hurry. And sometimes that can get the best of you. Most of our models, a lot of our successful models, not all of them, but I would say the vast majority, the biggest percentage, when we sit back and analyze, hindsight is 2020, a good 3 years to get things going at a high level. You were going up it's like that game show on The Price is Right, that game where the yodeler is going up the mountain and it's the slow progress and you're going up. They would be in that stretch, but there was still a lot of unknowns. And we would always have to remind them and ourselves, we're not in a hurry. This is not a race. This is a marathon. It's moving slowly in that direction. If on average it took 3 years, imagine the models that we've had, and there have been plenty, who a year in, a year and a half in, 2 years in, because of an imaginary timeline that they have, or because of people filling their head with what's next, what's around the corner, why aren't you doing this, blah, 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 blah. It gets you in this heightened sense of somehow there's this imaginary clock ticking away, when ultimately what you want is you want what's right for you and your journey and your time. Same with relationships. I see people sometimes so afraid to be alone or to feel like they need to rush because of a time frame that they have of when they want to be married or when they want to have children. And recently, I've seen so many really beautiful things unfold in our life, in the lives of our friends, of people who are having children in a time past the time that they maybe thought was what was best for them, but obviously it's the right time for them. And to trust that is just, it's a powerful thing, but it's also a really bringing thing to slow things down. So simple changes. I think the best way to recalibrate your life and start to challenge yourself to not be in a hurry. Well, number one, stay off of Instagram. Take breaks. We're not all racing against each other of who has what thing and who's presenting whatever perfect scenario that it is. All that is just smoke and mirrors, and it's unnecessary. I didn't even plan on saying that. That's just a little added rant that you get. But it start with the morning. I have in the past year had a couple of times where I intentionally planned my day that I would wake up a little early and go into a quiet room, and it was the only time I would go in that room. It's our guest room. It's Willa's room when she's here. And I would go in that room and read either a devotional or a book, or I would journal. I would have my time from the minute that I woke up. Years ago, I went to a really wonderful counselor, and he taught me how so often our eyes wake up, and he would call it, and you've jumped on a roller coaster of your thoughts. And before you even hit the floor, you're 10,000 times ahead of yourself. Start waking up, and just for me, I wake up and I thank God. Thank you, God, for this day. Direct my path, help me with what I'm supposed to do. But taking it even one step further and stepping in and having that quiet time to allow yourself and not to think about everything that you need to get done in the day, but use that as a time to kind of ease your thoughts and your minds, even if you did it for 10 minutes. It's amazing what it does for you throughout that day and cumulatively throughout the week, throughout the month. I think for me, it made me more effective. It made me less inclined to let my feelings or emotions or distractions that would come through the day to really throw me. So I think it's a really important kind of way to do it. The other thing is to focus on the activity, not the results. Again, a little Arbonne knowledge from way back in the day. If you focus on just the activity and don't feel like you have to measure the results, we always say, it's for a model who goes on a casting, you can't tell what that person thinks. If you try and read their mind, not only are you going to drive yourself crazy, but you're probably wrong. Or sometimes you would meet somebody on a casting and you didn't know that they thought, oh, you're not right for this, but 3 months down the road, I have something that you'd be perfect for. So instead of getting in that thought, getting ahead of yourself, being in a hurry, thinking that it has to happen immediately, just focus on the activity. You can do that same thing with your personal business or goals that you have through your house or fitness goals or whatever it is. If you just focus on the activity and don't become crazy person over the results, it gives you a lot of peace. Trusting your journey and your pace also keeps you out of comparison because you just know that whatever your time frame is going to happen, and you allow yourself to trust that. You don't need to pursue every dream that you have at once. The other thing is, if you're in such a hurry, I've seen this so many times, a lot of times things don't get finished. Before you're on to the next thing because you're in this big hurry. You don't want to do that to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. The power of completing things is pretty powerful also. I hope that this gives you a little bit of encouragement to not be in a hurry, to slow down, to be in the present, and make the most of every day. Thanks to everybody for all of your feedback, and I'll talk to you next Monday.